Yar, yar, me ghouls and goblins. There she blows. Welcome to another episode of Really Scared. What's going on, guys? How are you, Connor? What's going on? Welcome to Really Scared.
How's it going, Lil Taylor?
It's going really well. We've done it. We've concluded our second annual Reeloween celebration, the very last episode of our Halloween marathon discussion series. I feel like I'm the guy who misread the invitation to the Halloween party. I'm the only one who wore a costume. Only one.
I don't have a costume yet.
Just don't have a costume? Are you like eyeing one? Are you considering something? Are you like weighing your options at this point in time?
We have a Halloween party to go to this weekend, and I'm going as Georgie, and Liv is going as Pennywise.
Okay, that's a nice, cute couple's costume. All right.
Yeah.
I dig that. Jess and I will be going to a Renaissance fair shortly here, and so we've chosen to attend as pirates, and thus I am a pirate. It's actually a shame. As you can see, I am Little Taylor, just as you are Big Connor. I could have pulled off kind of a Little John pirate look, but my pirate jacket, I'm not kidding, is at the alterations place right now, hemming up the sleeves so I can make sure that pirate jacket fits me nice and snug before I head off to the Renaissance Fair. Have you ever been to a Renaissance Fair? Never been to one.
I've never been. Coincidentally, Liv was just talking about wanting to go to one. So
I'll let you know how it is. I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to be a pirate both that weekend and right now. It's going to be a great time. Eye patch is a big commitment, by the way. I got an eye patch on, and it really does mess with your like depth perception, your peripheral vision. I've been like knocking shit over. Even now, just doing this, it's very strange to only have half of the vision. I'll probably flip this up at some point in the night, but at least for now, I got to take it for a test run. I got to get used to it before
you start walking around a Renaissance fair.
Strutting,
they get kind of muddy and weird.
Yeah, I'm going to get muddy and weird this weekend. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Halloween. I know I said Reeloween, but we should also say Happy Halloween, Ghouls and Goblins, because it is, in fact, All Hallows Eve. We've been building up to it all month. We knew we had to come back in October. We had to be back in time for a special Halloween episode. So here we are. We're doing it. Happy Halloween, Ghouls and Goblins. Thank you for joining us on this special night, whether it be live or after the fact. We love you. We appreciate you. We're happy to see you. And what a movie to end the month on. Obviously, we didn't just pick these movies out because it was October. We picked these movies out because there's a new one coming out this month. Halloween Kills. And boy, has this just proven to be the hot button little item. Apparently.
It really has. I went to a bonfire recently, and I'm known as like the movie guy, so everybody just like asked me opinions about movies, and like someone was like, "So you actually like Halloween Kills?" And I'm like, "I do not want to talk about Halloween Kills here.
Right.
I just want to have some beers. I have to do a podcast about this. I do not need to hear about why you did not like this movie."
Yeah, it's been so controversial and polarizing. It's so weird. I guess there's I guess it's cool that apparently reality has changed in such a way that the things that we're getting upset and arguing about are whether we like movies. I guess that could be a good sign of where we're at culturally, or maybe not a great sign. I don't know. It's so weird to see people getting so upset, whether they loved it or hated this movie. Everybody's so up in arms about Halloween Kills. It's where all the discourse is happening. Everybody's been talking about this movie all month. Who'd have thought one of our silly little slasher franchises would have become the big new controversy in 2021? So that means we had to, of course, talk about this one. Been building to it all month. I'm excited to do it. And whenever we are doing one of our big episodes, whenever we are talking about a big new release movie, there's nobody better to
one person that we have to bring on.
Our special guest, the first guest we ever had, a great man with a great family and a lovely home. I even have the pleasure and privilege to say now, I've stayed in this man's home. That's how great of a friend he is.
I am green with envy.
Green with envy. Maybe one day. Play your cards right. Get to go to Mishra proper. Let's bring our man in here. Ghouls and Goblins, you know him well. Give it up for Mr. Alok Mishra.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry, Captain Alok Mishra.
Captain. I'm the captain tonight. I got inspired by your seagoing outfit, and I immediately decided to become some sort of yacht pimp. And
Here
so
we are.
that's what I'm playing tonight. Kind of
Just a-
feel like I'm a combination of Connor having a hat and then you being a pirate. So
Yeah,
put
it's
it all together.
strangely an aquatic feeling here. We got a pirate, a captain, and then I just have a gas station hat that says "Beach, please."
I feel like that is a gas station hat, like from South
Yeah,
Carolina or something.
Yeah, the wedding I was telling you about, I bought this drunkenly at a gas station, picking up more
Nice.
beer. So it's become my podcast app.
That is true. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Here we are, just a couple of seamen on Halloween night. You'd love to see that.
Semen everywhere.
just a few semen.
As it should be. How you doing, Alok? It's so great to have you back on the show.
Good to see you too. Last time we saw each other was in person, which was awesome. I got to see the Ravisher and the Schmodown stuff. That was entertaining and stuff. Just seeing you. I mean, I can say you kicked a lot of butt and everything. So that's all true. And it was great having. Oh, not yet.
No. You can go. I was just gonna say I wanted to talk about the phone call I got from you guys. Something I'll never forget because it seemed like a fever dream.
Yes, we did call you when we were hurtling down the 405 to our death. Very drunk at the time. Granted, none of us were driving. We were just prank calling you. It was my wife was the sober one driving and stuff. But we were deciding to prank call you after probably a long day of drinking on your end, an even longer day, let's say, because I think it was 11 o'clock on your end. It was like 8 something, and we were just like, "Hey, what's going on, motherfucker?" And you were just like, "Who is this?"
Not thrilled at all.
Yes, it was my idea. I was like,
I loved it. I'll never forget it. It was just such a fever dream. I was like, I got a phone call from Alok Mishra. That is pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, you've been watching some godforsaken horrible football team, I think, probably, right? And
pretty good. They're doing pretty good.
Okay.
We're doing pretty good.
I don't follow anything but college. But my USC team is getting killed. We have a temporary coach right now because we fired our coach, and I'm like, can we fire the temporary coach? It's that bad, but it was fun. It was fun prank calling you and just talking to you for a second in that state, if you will. But yeah, it's in answer to your question, everything's going well. However, not as well. Because I saw Halloween Kills.
Oh
no! Sorry, wanted to like it, but I don't know if you want to like do some more conversation and hand holding before we get into it. But we can do whatever. It's your show.
You know what, Alok? I think I've done enough podcasts with you at this point to know we will go wherever we please throughout the entire episode. There are no rails with which to ride on. With that is a-okay. What we can start Halloween Kills and just take it wherever our hearts lead us.
Sweet.
Well, as before we dive into it, I would love to know something we've just kind of been asking guests this month, because like the format's a little different this month. Like usually we have guests pick out movies. This month we picked out the movies. We picked out the Halloween movies and said, hey, who wants to come on the show? So with that in mind, I would love to know like what's your experience and like overall liking of this franchise? Like, were you really into the 2018 one? Have you watched these movies like your whole life? Everybody has some weird experience with the Halloween series, just for how vast and dense and absurd it is.
I have a couple different things with it. Like, I think I watched the first Halloween when I was like far too young, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like we were at a party, like Indian parties back in the day were like this. Like all the Indian people in your like little town in Mississippi would get together, and then the parents would start singing some shitty songs that you didn't understand what language they were, and all the kids would go in the back and watch a movie. And there'd be invariably some older kid who was like watching stuff and didn't give a fuck about the younger kids. Like, hey, I'm watching The Thing. I don't give a shit. Like, you can watch The Thing too if you want. Like, so because these older kids are just fucking bored. They didn't want to be there either, right? So in this way, I saw a number of films I was probably too young to see. Like, I'm talking like 8, 9 years old watching Halloween, let's say, right? And, shit, like, I had some stuff to talk about when I went home, but I really wouldn't talk about it to my parents because I didn't want this whole like, you know, watching R-rated films things in the back thing to end. And invariably, some kid did tell his parents about this, and so they were like, "What are you watching?" And we're like, "Busted," you know. So what happened was I watched this film very young, and I was always just everything about it was immediately gripping to me, like the music, everything, da da da. And later on in life, like really properly discovered Carpenter. I also watched The Thing very young too. I mentioned that on purpose. That's like my favorite horror movie, and also Carpenter, and so that was a big sort of like influence on me. But I started, you know, when I was like more high school, college, I really kind of did a deep dive sort of into Carpenter. And like, I mean, he was such a prolific director for that kind of like, for a span of like that 10 years. He fucking just like hit after hit after hit, just knocked it out. He's the kind of director that makes you know why Shakespeare could exist, because he had just like a very prolific, like amazing time and everything. And, you know, not so much lately, sadly, and, you know, whatever. But at the same time, he had his time. He had his time. And so Halloween was very special to me in that way, too, because it really kind of was the entryway drug, if you will, to Carpenter. And the other part that's special about Halloween to me is that the producer, Mustafa Khad, I actually went to school with his daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was actually one of my good friends' girlfriend, Rena, I want to say her name was. Well, sadly, by the way, this girl was gorgeous, just gorgeous. I mean, like movie star gorgeous. Like, I mean, turn your head walking down the street, like just, I mean, head turner, and also super sweet. I will say this, and sadly, she got killed along with Mustafa. In this bombing, I think it was a Marriott hotel, like in Jordan or something. It was a terrorist thing. They were bombing a bunch of different hotels around the city, and like this was like the third day, and they were at a cafe and they got blown up. And like sadly, she was pregnant. Like I think she had a kid before, and then she was pregnant with her second kid, and she got killed too. So that's in a weird way another thing that's been very personal to me about like sort of a Halloween franchise, is that I had that sort of connection to the producer through his daughter. And what's nice is that they've actually continued like letting his sons like produce the film, his kids produce the film for that. So that's sort of a nice sort of keep it in the family touch, I thought, as well. I mean, I'll say this too, like, you know, besides like look, the first three movies were, you know, classic for kids, let's say. Even though the third one, let's say, Season of the Witch, is just so fucking weird and just off the map, let's call it. Still pretty interesting for what it is, right? To me, like the fourth one's the one with the little girl, right? And then she comes back in another one, right? Is that the
Danielle Harris? Yeah.
And then she's in the latest one too, right? Or is she? Is that was her? I can't remember.
She pops up in the Rob Zombie ones as well.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, so that one I like. Then somehow like 5 and 6, I don't know what happens there. I don't really quite remember it, or it's just so forgettable. It started becoming very Friday the 13th to me, in the way that like they're just cranking them out, like they don't give a shit. You know, it's just like some sort of cash cow for them. It's only till they do Halloween H2O, right? Which is like sort of the Jamie Lee Curtis comes back and then they kind of kill her or whatever. And then they have the Rob Zombie ones right after that. Is that right? Am I getting the chronology right? So that's when I started kind of caring about it again. Like I liked, you know, they did a decent job with H2O. I mean, you know, we want to see Jamie Lee Curtis come back. She came back, right? And that's the main thing. And then Rob Zombie had a different take on it, which I thought the first one was good and the second one was just okay, you know. And then the most recent one, the one before Halloween Kills, I thought was actually really good. Sort of return to the ring. Like I thought, like, wow, I want to see this guy do some more of these, right? And I was very satisfied. I actually went to the premiere for it. I know Warren Drummond, who did all the storyboards for the last one and this one too.
Oh, okay.
I was like, can I be your date to the new one? And he's like, I'm taking my son, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, so I didn't get to do that. but he's super talented. I mean, that guy's done so much interesting work. You've seen, like, I can name 100 different movies that guy's worked on and stuff. A lot of late John Singleton stuff as well. But he's so super talented and like really an amazing artist. And like he like was showing me on his phone like a lot of the art like after we finished watching the movie from the first one. And like I thought of this shot, and like then he's like, that's a good shot. We're gonna use it, you know. Because I mean, yeah, it's collaborative with the the cinematographer and everything and the director. But sometimes they actually have a good idea, and they're like, oh, all right, well, I'm gonna take your idea. We paid you, shut up, you know. So yeah, so that was sort of my interesting connection to that, and plus it was Jason Blum, and I've known Jason Blum for a long time as well. I think the night of the premiere, he stuck his foot in his mouth that night. And they were asking him, hey, why don't you have any female directors direct anything? He's like, there's not really any I like. And then he was like, I mean, I'm open to the idea. I would like to meet many more female directors. But he said that at the premiere, like when he was asked questions, and then he had to like backpedal to and it's just been like 3 directors, like a Blumhouse shit recently, female directors. So, but that was another sort of interesting like fact for that night, and it was it was like I said, a fun premiere. The energy was great. I was so hyped for it, and it paid off. It was really worth it. This one, not so much.
So what's interesting is I'm in the same boat as I really dug the 2018 one. I would go as far as to say that's probably my favorite one, second only to the original one. Like I thought they totally did it justice. Like you said, return to form, but. By the same token, I actually really dug this one too. So I would love to hear this contrast to the 2018 one. What do you think doesn't work in Halloween Kills?
Well, how long you got? No, I mean, listen, I could tell you 2 things. I could tell you what I liked about it if you like. Yeah. And I can tell you what I didn't like about it if you want to.
Yeah, start off the positives.
Sort of. Yeah, I mean, it's better to start with positive. I liked the beginning of the movie. I liked how they started with that flashback, and it was almost like Scream-esque how they used some really cool actors in very small parts, and they kind of get killed very quickly. Like, I don't know if you guys know Jim Cummings. He's in this great movie Thunder Road, but he's in this really awesome horror movie, Wolf of Snow Hollow.
I've been meaning to watch that. Yeah.
Well, Jim Cummings is a great character actor. He's like a writer, director, actor. It's kind of a triple threat. And so he's very clever. And he has a new movie coming out called Beta, I want to say. That's sort of a psychological thriller horror movie that looks pretty awesome. I think it premiered at Sundance last year. But it's just coming out. It's either come out or it's coming out in a week or 2. And they put him in as that police officer who the other guy shoots accidentally, right? And the other guy that shoots him, I forget the actor's name, but he's in like, he's in King Kong, and he's
in Project X.
Yeah. But he's been in like Sundance movies, like where he's like, what is it, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl?
Yeah, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Yeah,
I was very surprised to see him in this. I didn't know he was in it, and when he popped up, I was like, what is he doing in this movie?
That's what I said. Well, that was the happy sort of like happenstance that you were like, oh wow, this is like they're really doing something here. They're bringing some like other people in here, and that's cool. So I really liked that, and I thought it started off kind of strong in that regard. Kind of setting. I mean, we're telling spoilers here, obviously, but like
spoilers for this.
Yeah,
movie.
Full spoilers.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen this movie apparently.
Setting a lot of this movie in the hospital was like a nice tip of the hat, I guess, to Halloween 2. But I mean, let's still not forget that Halloween 2 was just a very okay sequel.
Yeah, I like what they did with that kind of callback.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's
the like side story and like I guess the like deeper moral of the movie.
Well,
mob mentality.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a second. And so much as like I thought Halloween 2 was a just okay sequel, but I thought it was better than Halloween Kills, if that makes sense, because of the one scene where they murdered that nurse in the hot tub. I thought that was more inventive than most of the deaths in Halloween Kills, frankly. So those are the 2 things I liked. Then there were 2 things that I liked and I didn't like, right? One of which was the Michael Myers Kung Fu, right? Like, okay, you have Michael Myers fighting all these like fucking firemen, just like goddamn Jackie Chan. Like he's like, oh, down, and they're coming at him one by one, and he's like, I'm gonna stick you over here, and I'm gonna take you and throw you over here to him, and then I'm gonna do this. So he does that once, and then Michael Myers Fu, let's call it, Michael Myers Fu comes back again at the end when he's fighting the mob, right?
Yeah,
I really like how that scene was shot, though.
I mean, it was shot interesting, and I like the gore. I mean, the fireman going with the fireman scene. I like the gore. I thought it was like pretty amazing and stuff, but it didn't seem very Michael Myers-esque, if that makes sense.
Well, he was just lit on fire, so I can see how he was a little pissed off.
I mean, he's pissed off or not pissed off. He's always just Michael Myers. He's almost very zen and very deliberate in how he kills people, right? Like I think there's like almost a steadiness about him.
Yeah, you know? I think anybody's zen would be lost if you're lit on fire in a burning building, though.
I mean, he's almost supernatural in a certain sense of it, right? So
I think we'll definitely loop around to that thought before this one's over too, because I'm very curious to some of the things they're setting up, and I'm sure we'll kind of speculate as to where this is going because we know there's one more to come. Dialing back to the fire. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say to that point, the things I didn't like, because there is one more. To me, this movie actually felt pretty soulless. It felt very transitional, like it was just trying to get through it to get to number 3. Like we're gonna see something big. It is very much like the filler movie, if you will. Sadly.
It definitely feels like part 2 in a 3-part story for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it tried to rely on the past very heavily, mostly sadly with characters we didn't really give a fuck about. Like, I mean, like, oh, it's all these old characters and it's a 40th anniversary and we're in this happy bar and we're gonna bring it all down by telling everyone to remember.
You weren't excited to see Lonnie come back? You thought Lonnie was going to get a big
I know,
Lonnie,
like Lonnie deserves to die. But
get your ass out of there, Lonnie.
Going back to the thing I liked and I disliked, I did like Michael Anthony Hall. I thought that was a great choice to cast him.
I agree.
I thought he brings a nice gravitas to it. I mean, anytime I see him, immediately he has my attention. He has my like respect, obviously. But the sad part of it was that, you know, they relied on these like supposedly nostalgic characters that nobody really gave a fuck about. I mean, at the end of the day, they're no Laurie Strode. They're second tier in comparison, right? And to that point, you know, you care about the Laurie character, and this woman stuck in a bed like almost the whole movie. And, you know, if they could have just started like a couple months later or something or whatever, then she could come back and fight. But like, how's this woman going to fight with Staples, right? Like, she's not. Like, and she's just sitting in bed most of the time, musing about, I don't know, like evil and life and whatever. And it's like, you want to see the kills? Well, you're not getting them from her. Not this movie, right? Yeah. And so that was sort of, I mean, sadly, a kind of letdown, and you're just sort of like, I want to see the real deal, and I get to see these like day player minor league bullshit characters who are annoying for the most part. And then there's that, okay? But now let's talk about who they actually kill, though, right?
Well, real quick, I do want to talk about Robert Longstreet, who plays Lonnie. I was very surprised to see him in the movie, and I loved him in the role. He was in Midnight Mass and all those Haunting on Hill House.
Wait, is he the drunk guy?
Yeah, he.
Okay, don't tell anymore. I'm actually in episode 3 right now.
Oh yeah, no spoilers for Midnight Mass. I
fucking love it so far. I love it. Yeah, no,
I think he's fantastic. He's in a lot of those shows. But I loved him in this. I thought he was good. And I also wonder if they brought back Paul Rudd, if this movie would be more widely accepted just because Paul Rudd's in it.
So I'll say this. I was in the lead up to this when it had come out that they had actually pitched it to Paul Rudd and he couldn't do it because he was doing Ghostbusters. Initially, I was like, oh, that's such a bummer. Even though like continuity wise, that character doesn't exist in these movies, but like that's such a bummer because it'd been cool to see him come back in a better movie. But having seen the movie, I cannot possibly fathom Paul Rudd playing this character as it's written in this movie. I can't buy him as like a
tough guy.
traumatized, like machismo, dive bar guy who's like, I'm gonna bash this guy's brains in. Like, I just can't. Maybe he would have read it differently, right? Like maybe they would have approached it differently if they knew Paul Rudd was playing the character. But I can, especially on a second watch, I kept trying to think of Paul Rudd like delivering that line or twirling that bat. I can't see it.
I think they would have written him differently.
Yeah,
probably.
But that's not to say I didn't like Michael C. Hall. I thought he was great. So
Michael Anthony Hall actually was like
Michael Anthony Hall.
No, but he kind of waffled it for me. The thing I liked about him was that I felt like he was a real actor. I feel like he was trying to do something. But then the thing I didn't like is the way he's written, because it's very one note. And then you get into this whole like mob thing, right? Which was like, it started off an interesting idea. Like this whole idea, I mean, it felt like some sort of Trumpian thing going on, like, anti-vax feeling to it or whatever. No one's listening to anybody. The truth is not being listened to. And they're just going and killing this poor guy. But that's where it kind of fell apart for me. Evil dies tonight. The evil dies. Like, just give me a fucking break. This is bullshit now. I mean, there was a point where just like, it was just turning and I was like, no, oh, you're losing it. It's like that's one of the things actually that I did not like. That seemed like an interesting idea to play around with and stuff. But then who are they killing of the day? And this is in general now. Who has been killed in this movie now, right? Like normally with the Halloween movies is that you feel happy that it's just kids that are getting it, right? You're just fucking that asshole kid over there, you fucking deserved it. Who's getting it this movie? Fucking old people who haven't done anything. Like it literally seems like this like nice white man is trying to like bed this old black grandma, and I love it. I love the we're like bringing the races together, right? That's great. And then this nice gay couple who bought that house and like killed elderly black woman, check. Killed like nice inclusive older white man, check. Kill the fucking gays. Like, I'm sorry, like the nice gay men that are just like trying to live their lives and like have a nice life together and live in this house and check. And then like, I mean, it's like they kill all these, and then the black couple. You would think like, oh, he's a doctor. He has something to contribute to society and like
Well, no, he was the nurse and she was the doctor.
Okay, well, what I'm saying? Like this nice
nurses matter too, Cotter.
Yeah, I mean, this nice black couple who just seems like they should have been able to like sew themselves up or survive somehow, or like, at least they could have survived.
But she ended up shooting herself in the fucking face.
Yeah, I mean,
which I thought was really funny. That was a nice comedic moment.
It is funny that they set up that they're doctors or like a nurse and a doctor. Right? You're like, okay, that's gonna play in later. They're gonna save somebody. No, they just get torn apart like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been an interesting survival. Like there, I mean, it would have been nice to see the black guys survive for once, or the black ladies survive. I mean, they played up to all the fucking tropes. Like
that is true.
So okay,
yeah, all the tropes were pretty much checked off, but
yeah, I mean, except for like hardly any teenagers getting killed. Like, and then
except the shitty boyfriend. I thought that was a good kill.
I mean, yeah,
man,
but like,
just got his neck demolished.
He got
there had to be one kid, right? Like, I mean, besides the beginning, let's call it, there had to be one kid, and so I'm glad he got it. But the what was one more thing I was going to say? I'm forgetting. Oh, the other thing that we talked about elderly black lady, the gays, and then
the mentally ill,
the handicap guy.
Yeah, the mentally ill.
Yeah, this poor guy. Like, I mean, and now there's a whole thing I just read on TMZ today or something. Came on my phone and was like, people think that Michael Myers hates gay people, and I was like, nah, he killed the black people and the handicapped people.
Yeah, he killed just anybody he finds.
Yeah, but it was a lot of like groups, like smaller, like less represented groups. But yeah, I'm like, that's bullshit. Come on, he's just killing everybody. To be honest,
all inclusive bloodshed.
All inclusive.
Well, and he also killed the kid, which rarely does he kill the kid. Like, you don't see that very often. It's usually off screen. I want to say, I feel, but I don't know. So anyway, I felt overall it was very soulless to me, very transitional. I didn't quite care for everyone he killed. I did like the beginning quite a lot. I wish they could have like, they kind of tried to bring that back with like now he's an old guy sitting in an office, and I was like, is he that old? I guess he would be like, but,
yeah, he'd be just as old as Laurie, right?
Yeah, I guess
Silver Fox.
So. I guess so. But I just thought he was going to be more of a go-getting character for some reason, and not just part of the mob. And I thought his payoff would be better to some extent. Or I don't even remember. Was he in the mob? I'm trying to remember. It's just all. By the end of it, and as I mentioned to you, I'm drinking the same drink I drank that night, which is Truly. I truly may have brought in two myself, because fuck you, AMC Porter Ranch, charging me like $12 per drink. I did buy one from you, so I had 3, and I plan to have 3 tonight. So I could be in the same mental state that I was when I watched the movie. And truth be told, I'm usually kinder to films when I've had a couple to drink.
Yeah.
However, sadly for me, I could not. I kept on going. I kept on waiting for it to like pay off, and then sadly, I did not care. Like I did not care after that kid got killed, and then his daughter comes in, and I'm like, oh, so Laurie's not going to really be in this then, and it's just going to be her bullshit daughter who no one gives a shit about, who no one can believe survived the first movie, and everyone's happy to see he could kill the second movie. Let's say, right? Like,
were you? You were happy to see Judy bite it?
I didn't care. Like I wanted. Like, listen, you're serving me, ground chuck, and you're telling me it's prime rib. I can tell the difference, right? Like, we want to see Laurie fight. I gotta wait a whole fucking third movie for this bullshit. Like, I'll see it. Don't worry, I'll be there. But I gotta say, like, if I'm gonna rate the thing, I give it a B minus, maybe a C plus. It depends. Scale of 1 to 10, give it a 6. Yeah, it was just very average to me. Again, it started off sort of strong, and I liked some of the ideas behind it, like with the actors that were involved. However, it wasn't the actors. The actor I really wanted to see was sitting in a hospital bed half of the movie, musing to what's the fucking character actor's name? Who's the sheriff? Not William Sadler, but
Hawkins.
He has the kind eyes, whatever.
Yeah. Will Patton. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Musing to him about evil and good, and
well, evil has to die tonight.
That's my piece.
Thank you for coming to Alok's TED Talk. Well, I will submit, I was surprised how little Laurie is in this. I was not prepared for that coming in. Like, that wasn't apparent to me in the trailers and stuff, that like she really wouldn't be in it. I didn't really notice that like all her shots were in the hospital or any of that stuff. Obviously the movie previous to this, like, that's your big Laurie movie. And I remember, and this will come up in our episode on it, but like, I remember coming out of that movie and being like, man, I would love if they had the nerve to actually make that be the last Halloween movie, right? Like, they ended it in such a succinct and like satisfying way. So they kind of like threw themselves by going, okay, we're going to make another one immediately afterwards. So it's like, how do you follow it up, and how do you find the unique perspective after you kind of already given everybody everything they wanted to see, which was like, Laurie's back, Michael's back, all the crazy clown continuity shit's gone. It's simple. We're back to basics. Go. So like, after you see that movie, it's like, oh shit, what do we have left to give them? Because we already, like, it's almost, I think they knew they had a trilogy right from the start. That was their plan.
Yeah.
At least based on if the first one performed well enough, and obviously it did. So it feels like things you would have maybe stretched out across 3 movies all get delivered right out of the gate. So you kind of, I feel like they're kind of spinning as they go into this one to find like, what's the interesting angle? Because we can't just do Laurie versus Michael again. We just did that, right? So like, what is the angle we can come at it from? And it sounds like what you didn't like so much about it, Alok, is what drew me in, because I've been, as I keep mentioning throughout this month, I've been doing the big Halloween marathon rewatch. I'm watching all of them. And something I love about the Halloween movies, a staple of them, is spending like 1 minute with some random Haddonfielder before Michael shows up and like bashes their head in. And they love cutting to like some lady making a sandwich at 1 a.m. I feel like they do that in like 3 different movies. That you just see how like mundane they are, and everybody's like a weird old person. And then Michael like comes in and drops a TV on their head or something. I love that stuff, and that's what this whole movie is. and perpetual cut to some weirdo. Michael shows up, kills him. Some other weirdo. Michael shows up, kills him. It's like really weird, borderline experimental. But I for some reason that's what I loved. I loved the Johns. Love those.
Oh yeah, Big John and Little John were fantastic. Probably the standout of this movie.
I would say they stole the whole show. The Johns.
They were great, but it was also kind of very sad that like one of them didn't get away, or right? Like you think they're smart enough that one of them would have got away. Like the other chick, like the one of the survivors, she's the only one I think that got away. Let's say, because she got injured in the hospital. Yeah. But like at some point, somebody can be smart enough to survive. I've been, to be honest, I've actually been. I think I watched a documentary on the Friday the 13th movies. Oh no, I watched the movies we love, movies we grew up with thing on Friday the 13th, and I went back and started watching some of those films, right? And as much as they are very repetitive, there is some, I think, even more interesting random deaths that occur in there that are sort of built up in interesting ways. I gotta be honest, I don't think I'd watched Halloween in a long time, besides like the last one, and I haven't really gone back and watched any of them for a long time, so maybe that's what's missing in my perspective. But I certainly do remember them. I mean, I certainly remember the first one like very, very vividly and stuff. And I just seemed like there was more sort of build up to who those people were and then why their deaths mattered so much, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they do have more of that random stuff that comes in, like throughout the rest of them that I just don't remember. And maybe that's sort of part of the kitsch that I sort of like whatever.
It's definitely more of a late sequel thing as they start doing that in every single one, which
Man, I gotta take this hat off. It's too fucking hot. So Captain has left the building now.
Yeah. No, well, that's something interesting too, and I'm gonna totally fail in my journalistic integrity here because I saw an article and I don't remember where it was or who wrote it, but I saw an article about these David Gordon Green movies that I thought really made an interesting point, which was like, even though they very painstakingly said we're gonna wipe the slate and just make sequels to the first movie, and you don't have to see any of those other movies to understand what's going on. Like at the same time, the movies are structured in a way where they definitely expect that you also have seen all those movies, and it's like the way they treat Michael in the movie isn't just because they kind of make fun of this in the 2018 one. They're like, okay, he killed a couple babysitters in the 70s, and that's all. It's like, why would a town be like crippled by that for decades? It's like, at the same time, it's like the movie knows you as the audience has watched 11 other Halloween movies. And so you're like, well, yeah, of course they're crippled by fear because I've seen him in like 4 continuities. I've seen him kill so many people. He used to be in a cult. He's in a Rob Zombie movie. Like even though the movie is not leaning on that continuity, it like also knows you as the viewer will understand what it's trying to achieve regardless of timeline or canon or any of that stuff, which I thought was an interesting point. Like even when they bring that nurse back, right, from the first movie, which to your point, it was like, who gives a fuck about the nurse who just had her car stolen by Michael Myers 40 years ago? Like, oh, she's back, the big hero. She like does that great moment right before she dies where she like goes to shoot him and she goes, "This is for Loomis." And it's like, well, why the fuck would she really care about Loomis? It was just some weird guy she like drove around one time.
The thing was, I almost thought that they should have more of a story of Loomis for the second one. Like maybe almost like, I don't know, Godfather 2 this shit, where it's seriously, it's cutting back and forth between like he's doing this now he's doing this, now he won't talk, and they're trying to figure out maybe some things going back and forth, and something from the past helps defeat him in the present, maybe. If that nurse could have, I don't know. I felt like that would have been more of an interesting thing to do, and I know that like, okay, the actor would be all CG and shit, but I'd rather see a CG Dr. Loomis like for like an hour than see like a CG Peter Cushing for 5 minutes in the Star Wars movies. You know what I mean?
Well, what did you guys think of the Loomis recreation in that flashback? Because I think that's the best version of
practical effects too. Those are prosthetics. That's not a digital creation of him, which I had seen a report like immediately after I watched the movie, and I was like, no fucking way. Like that looked flawless. That was awesome.
I thought they had like when I first saw it, I thought they'd like found some archival footage of him or something, and like slickly kind of snuck it in and cut it together so it looked like he was walking into the scene of the movie or something.
Yeah.
Like, because I was like, that's Don Pleasance, like that's him, but it also didn't look like you said, a weird CG Peter Cushing reanimated corpse thing.
You know what's funny though is that like I remember talking to some friends and they were like they wanted to, like, it was during COVID and they'd already pushed the movie back like a year, I want to say. And they were like wanting to test it, and they're like, we want to test it, but we don't want to do this. For a second they were doing online testing because they were just so desperate to test things that they would test things online. And they were like, listen, I don't want to test this online. And then they've signed a non-disclosure. We know who they are, blah, blah, blah. But then they don't give a fuck. They're just like, Donald Pleasance is in it. Or they wanted, I thought from what they were talking about it, that there was some big reveal in this movie. Right. But frankly, there really wasn't. Like, I mean, Donald Pleasance shows up for 5 minutes. Like, okay, great. Like, not even 5 minutes, like 2 minutes, let's say. Yeah. But there really wasn't that big reveal to the point that I was like, I'd be concerned about how you tested it and the whole thing. Like, maybe the thing they didn't want to get out was that it sucked. I'm kidding, but yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was a big spoiler there. But going back to my main point, I thought it would have been interesting to Godfather 2 it, like to kind of like go back and forth with it.
I agree with that. I really liked the movie, but your thought process on like how they should have done it kind of makes more sense and makes me think I would have enjoyed it even more, even though I already really enjoyed it. Because in the first one, they made a big point when they're listening to the like archival tapes of Loomis talking about how like you just need to kill him. Like there's no saving him, just kill him. And it was like this big moment, and it was like the tape ended up burning and stuff, and it was like really creepy, and it was like a really cool scene in the last one. But I feel like if they did like cut back to like moments we haven't seen in this current continuity of Loomis and Michael, I think that would have been really cool. And maybe a more,
I mean, maybe they'll do it for the next one. Who knows? I mean, that would be really cool. But I mean, I feel like, the way they left it with like her looking at that, like, I mean, Michael's looking out the window, I want to say, or is Karen, I can't remember, he killed Karen, right? And then he's looking out the window, and then Laurie's looking out the hospital window. And so now there has to be this like showdown. Does it have to be right away? Because I'd rather get a full strength Laurie, versus a full strength Michael. I mean, I'm trying to remember the mythology though. Even if Michael Myers gets killed, right? He always then, for some reason, comes back on Halloween. He waits a whole year. I mean, well, not in the first couple of films, no, right? But when he started to show up, like number 4 and 5 and 6 and shit, like, isn't it a thing where he shows up on Halloween? Am I wrong with that, or?
You're right. They all take place on Halloween, and somebody's always trying to move his ass from one facility to another on Halloween, which seems very ill-informed. Why don't you do it in like February or something when he's like sleeping? Like, come on,
Valentine's Day.
But like Halloween 5, that you should have it scheduled much more conveniently than moving him in October.
Yeah, President's Day. Move him on President's Day, for Christ's sake.
Just the random.
It comes out wearing a Lincoln mask.
Yeah, he's always popping up on Halloween.
Well, then he's gonna get like, if it was on President's Day, he would wear like a Reagan mask, and then he would be in Point Break too.
That's funny.
That'd also be pretty scary. If Reagan was knocking down my door, that's horrifying. That's
no way.
That's way worse than Shatner.
I mean,
that's anyway. Something that's interesting is in these movies and this continuity, the 2018 one, by cutting out all the sequels, they're like, all the silly supernatural stuff's gone. There's no more Michael coming back from the dead. There's no weird curses. None of that stuff. But in this, it totally feels like they're queuing up supernatural stuff again. Like they have their own version of it that they're going to slowly like fold in and reveal and play with in the next one. Because like obviously we know the game, right? We know Michael gets shot, he gets stabbed, he gets lit on fire, he gets hit by a car, he falls off a roof, whatever. He always gets back up. And we just kind of take that for what it is. That's if you sit down and watch Halloween, that's the name of the game. But in this, well, again, when they're trying to like ground it a little bit more, and they're like, he's just a guy, with the mask on. He's gonna come kill you. At the end of this, there's like no room to argue that there isn't something paranormal happening.
Yeah,
Like,
because I when that final mob scene was happening, when they're just beating the shit out of him, I was like, well, what the fuck are they gonna do in the third one? I was like, Michael's clearly dead. There's no way he's getting up from this. And then he gets up, and I was like, wait, I thought he was just a human.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like,
I will posture
up.
I will posture a third option. It's not a man. It's not supernatural. He's been experimented on in prison. He has been subjected to like some sort of experiment, and it's made him more than a man, more than like, you know, some sort of, I don't know if it's nanobot technology that's repairing him very quickly.
See, this is a universal property. This is a universal property, and we know the Fast and Furious franchise has gone to the superhuman storyline with nanobots. Maybe
Halloween
we're
and
gearing up for a Halloween Fast and Furious movie where Michael Myers is the big bad in Fast 10 or 11.
He's Idris Elba's brother.
Yes, the voice at the end of Hobbs and Shaw. Everybody's like, oh, it's Han, it's this person. It's Michael Myers, and he's going to kick the shit out of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
You have put it all together. I think that
makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because something we also established we like on this. So Michael drives. We love when Michael Myers drives a car in these movies. Doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I got really excited for a quick second and that scene outside the bar. Yeah, even though you immediately, the way they frame it, you immediately know you're like, Michael ain't in that car. Yeah. But I just love the implication that I was like, vroom, vroom, Michael might be driving again for a second. I got really excited because like David Gordon Green, like that's his thing. He's like, let me find all the stuff you like from Halloween. I'm going to do it again. I was like, oh, he's doing a Michael's driving a car thing because we didn't get that in 2018.
No, we didn't.
We didn't get him driving a car. So maybe they're saving that for, as you just posited, the big finale here.
Michael looks a little like the guy who's the bad guy from Last Action Hero. That's what he has, like that sad, bald sort of like, you know, sad, you know, it just, that's what he reminded me of when I was watching him, and I was like,
I do kind of appreciate that in contrast to the Rob Zombie ones where he is like the scariest, most evil man alive. As soon as you see him, it's like this one, he's just kind of some guy under there, you know, like I think it's more in tune with what they're trying to do. It's like when you do take the mask off, when he's exposed, he just is some guy, you know, he's like besides being probably burnt and scarred up and blind in one eye and, you know, having a distant stare off into the distance, like he's otherwise unsuspecting. He's just some guy. But when you put the mask on, now he's elevated to, you know, something otherworldly. Apparently, it seems that we're queuing up at the end of this, like got beaten and stabbed by the entire like block, and he just pops up and one shots everybody like it was nothing. He totally no-sold their moves.
And I really love how that scene was shot with like the spotlights and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
That was cool.
I thought it was just a really cool scene with how it was shot. I thought it was cool.
It was shot cool, but it didn't seem very Michael Myers foo. If you
didn't like his kata?
The foo. Like I just don't totally buy that he's like, you know, he can fight like that. But all right. I mean, like I said, I liked it and I didn't like it. Like it was something off, kind of out of character for him, but it was very interestingly shot, as you said. And I did like the gore for the fireman scene when he was just like chopping this guy's fucking jaw off and, you know, whatever.
The buzzsaw, that was pretty.
Yeah, the buzzsaw. Yeah, that was a good. Like,
can we talk about the one fireman who just hit him with the hose? What was that guy thinking about?
Yeah, well, he's like, this guy's on fire and he's crazy. I gotta help him.
Well, I mean, he was probably thinking, oh, I'm gonna knock him down, because if you shot me with a fire hose, I'd be 3 states away.
Yeah, it's a great opening move. Michael Myers comes at you, hit him with the hose first of all. Like everybody's got axes and buzzsaws. Hose first off, opening move. Water this boy down, get him real wet.
I mean, you think you'd shoot him for a second when you knew it wasn't working. You're like, fuck it, I'm out. Get out of here.
Could have taken
That's true.
the fire truck, just hop in the fire truck and then run him over.
I mean, that's an idea.
That's true. No one.
That's
they had
always
no-
my first instinct in horror movies is get in a car, run him over.
But you get in that car, he's
Why
already
don't
there.
we get in a car and run the fuck away? Let's just go. Like this is some It Follows shit. Like we're getting the
that's
fuck out of here.
true.
We're driving as
You
far
could
away
just
as we
go
can.
away.
The gas runs out. Like
I mean, you have to do like a little maneuvering, so you can maybe tail whip him with the fire truck and then speed off.
look, you're fighting a supernatural creature. I mean, you don't know you are, but if you think you are,
Yeah,
get
book
the
a
fuck
flight.
out. Like that. That's
Yeah,
what
you're
you
right.
Book
You're
a
right.
flight. Go
You
somewhere
guys,
you want
you
to go.
guys have seen the movie It Follows, correct?
Oh yeah, I love It Follows.
Terrific film. We saw that at Sundance, and we were debating that movie. Like right after we got out of it, like what would you do? Okay,
Right.
here's what I would do. I would fly to India. I would fuck a bunch of bitches, right? And then this guy's got to walk across the ocean to India and kill each one of those girls, right? And I'm back in the States now. You got to walk back across the ocean to get me. And when I think I've been keeping up with the last girl, and when I know she's dead, I'd be like, all right, now he's walking across the ocean again. I'm gonna fly back to India and have sex with a bunch of different girls. That's the way I solve that problem.
It is one of those movies. It's one of those ones where everybody has to figure out what they would do at the end. It's a perfect example. Yeah, no, I'd book Michael Myers is coming. You book a flight, like go somewhere, But then you'd get on the plane.
You think he's getting on a plane? You
That'd be
think
the problem.
He's taking like goddamn like air, what is it? The British Airways come get you? Like
That'd be
you
the
know,
problem. He probably can fly a plane. That's,
well, another funny
He
thing.
probably
that
could for all intents and purposes.
and Loomis is like, who taught him to fly a plane? Was it you?
Well, you know what'd be interesting twist in the whole thing, right? Is because he looks kind of like this like sad older, like he's a tall guy, right? But he looks like this sad old man or whatever, right? Like, what if he's just walking around during the movie just without the mask on, just acting like a normal person and no one notices? Like he's in the background of that crowd murdering that poor handicapped fellow.
Yeah,
he's like
literally nobody knows what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, he's hiding in plain sight would be sort of an interesting twist on it, I think. I mean, that would be an interesting thing to do at least for the third one, maybe.
Well, I think that is where they're going, is Michael is going to be hiding in plain sight because they said it's going to deal with like contemporary times. So that means, lockdowns and stuff like that. So I think they might be going that route where, and I think that's why they posited that whole hospital storyline is because nobody really knows what he looks like and everybody's locked indoors, can't really go anywhere. So he could be anybody.
So you're trying to tell me that Michael Myers is a TikTok star? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Like that's what he's been doing like this entire time?
Yeah, he's been doing TikTok.
He's got the moves. He's got the moves.
I mean,
in his sister's bedroom, he's just been doing TikTok dances. He's got like 1.1 million followers now.
Probably, or he's masturbating furiously to online porn. Right? It's one of those two things. I mean, that's what everyone did during the fucking lockdown. I feel
they do need to show him that he's not been experiencing
he's making
that for 4
bread.
years.
He's making his own bread. TikTok dances.
He's probably starting
furiously
a podcast.
masturbating.
He's probably starting a podcast
about all of the above: bread
They-
making, masturbation, and making your own beer.
The established smarmy podcasting is very much a thing in this universe in the last movie. So let Michael start one. It's just heavy, labored ASMR breathing, like that could keep him occupied. Be very good at that. I don't know, because they have started doing a time jump, like the next one's going to be in 2022 or whatever. Like, so between this one and that one, years are going to pass, which also makes me ask like a ton of questions. Like, what does Michael do for stuff? Like where this movie leaves off, it's not like they captured him and put him back in the hole and it's like, okay, he's in there for a couple of years. It's like he's at large and just, feet away from the police and the survivors of the movie, standing over the dead body of a main character. Like that's where the movie ends. I can't fathom where they go, especially with that. If they're like, yeah, the next one takes place the next day, I was like, okay, that's what they're gonna do. Just pick it up. But I didn't really have no idea what a time jump will introduce. Is Michael just going to be at large for years? Like, what is that going to look like? They've never really done that before.
I think Lori is heartbroken. Her daughter's dead. She takes her granddaughter and she takes her someplace really far away. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't think she's dead. I don't think Karen's dead.
That could be true as well. That this series
Because
prides itself on
every
that.
death, even if it's meaningful, they really focus on. And hers was real quick.
That's true.
It was just like,
no, hold on. She stabbed him with the pitchfork,
She did.
and then he. Hold on, I'm trying to remember how she
no,
died.
he just stabbed her like in the abdomen, right?
He stabs her a couple times at the very, very end.
Yeah. So I don't think she's dead. I think something happens, and then she goes to the hospital, and it's years later, and they're fine.
I mean, I definitely thought Will Patton was completely dead at the end of the 2018
Oh
movie.
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
And they just cart him in like it's no big deal. I mean, this is Halloween, right? Like people definitely do not stay dead in this series if it doesn't suit the plot. So
I feel like if I could be wrong, and if I am, it makes that death like a little anticlimactic. But if it was like if it was an actual death, I feel like they would have taken more time with it and made it a little bit more painful. But it was just real quick. And then
they might, I mean, even if she is actually dead, they might spend more time with it in the next one. Like you might get to see characters react to it naturally and find out that it happens.
It's a time jump. That could be it's just weird how they would do that instead of making it more meaningful as a finale for this one. So I mean, we'll see. I could be totally wrong, but that might change my perspective on this one.
Yeah.
Next year we'll see.
It's gonna actually be about Jim Cummings' daughter, the one you never saw. Like, my daddy got killed by you, Michael Myers. I'm here to settle the score. I'm 80 years old.
They're gonna go, look, it's the stuttering kid from the 5th movie. He's back. Aren't you happy he came back?
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. I guess we should we're jumping all over the place, but I guess we should really talk about like what I feel like it's simultaneously like the greatest point of inspiration in this movie and also simultaneously like the greatest point of criticism in this movie, which is the whole thematic move with like the mob and vigilante justice and like what they're trying to accomplish with that entire subplot. Connor, I think you really responded to that, right? You like that stuff.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was very interesting. Otherwise, like, what was it going to be? Just Michael Myers going house to house, killing random people?
Yeah.
I feel like that would make for a way more boring film. I really liked the whole like mob mentality. Like, it was clearly inspired by like the insurrection and stuff. I feel like.
Well, that's what's interesting is you got to remember too, like this was going to come out a year ago.
Yeah.
So like, this was all shot before any of that January 6th stuff happened.
Oh, that's true. That's
so
true.
Very weirdly prescient.
Well, maybe they were trying to like address what felt like was going on.
What was building up to that?
Yeah,
and it eventually did.
Just the Trump rallies themselves seem to be bastions of like no tolerance, no truth, just following blindly following whatever this man is telling you, for example. And on a microcosm, that's what this represents, let's say,
And I thought that was really interesting. I responded to it, and I thought it was really good. And I thought it was heartbreaking in the end when the guy who just wanted to go back to the hospital was like, I'm not surviving this. I'm just going to jump out this window. I thought it was like a really heartbreaking moment. And I thought that whole thing kind of played off. Like, I think it played out really well. And I thought it was the most interesting part of the movie. A lot of people are like, the kills were cool, but the story sucked. I think that storyline was the most interesting, and I thought the kills were still good. I focused on that more.
It's tough to kind of deliver sort of a sensitive, thoughtful thing in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are there to see blood. Because I was seeing the movie by myself, and there was a bunch of people sitting there, like it was like a 7:00 show or something. And there were so many people laughing at that scene when it happened. Like, you got it. Like, damn, man, this is who this country is,
Yeah.
And that's a problem. I think it's sort of wasted on a lot of those people, like that sort of thoughtfulness, if you will. But by the other flip side of that coin, as much as it might have been a thoughtful idea to include, the way it was executed was almost so cheesy. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Like, you know, like I was like, come on, man. And that's where I kind of felt the movie slipping away in a way too, because of how it was executed, and it kind of seemed like this almost over the top kind of thing. And that's where it sort of, I mean, in a sense, lost me too. So I think that the idea is interesting, execution not so much, not as good as the idea.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. After a second watch, because I do appreciate that this is a day and date movie, so I was able to watch it a second time on Peacock last night and get it fresh. So that was appreciated. Even though I hate how Peacock cuts to a completely new movie 3 seconds into the credits of the one you just finished. It was like, hey, did you like the movie? Cool. You're gonna watch Prom Night now.
You're gonna watch Crank 2 now.
Yeah, cool. You want to hear the credits? Fuck you.
Crank 2.
Yeah, you're watching Crank 2. You're getting cranked. Watching it the second time, you know, some of the I do agree there's some issues in the execution. I think kind of what I was saying before, it was like, okay, the 2018 movie was like they got it all out of their system. It was like, we're gonna give you the sequel you expect and that you want to see. And this one, it's like, okay, now what are we gonna do? We got to get creative. Like, I feel like that whole subplot and idea is very creative, and especially, you know, through the lens of a slasher movie, which have that tendency to get formulaic or redundant, or you know, just be a journey from kill to kill, right? It's like porn, you know. The story is just whatever gets you to the next sex scene, whatever gets you to the next kill. So I think in this, I'm trying to do something a little more noble, is fascinating. I think all the scenes in the hospital are pretty strong. I think the whole chase scene was really tense, like chasing the guy through the hospital, and like Lori and Karen and like Brackett, like they all know, because the only people who like have ever seen this guy, like they all know immediately that it's not him. Thought that was a great tense scene. I thought when they knocked into Lori, I was like, holy fuck, are they gonna kill Lori in this scene? Like, is she gonna get killed by like the mob? Like, that would have been a ballsy move, right? If like that was the consequence of that whole subplot, is, oh, Michael doesn't kill Lori, it's just a bunch of fucking, you know, yokels who are getting all worked up in a hospital. It's like I actually bought that they were gonna do it, but they didn't. Of course, you want to save her for part 3. But yes, this, you know, chasing that guy up the steps was incredibly sad. I guess that actor also, just like who played that character, just recently passed away too.
Wow.
He was just like, I'm not sure if he even has any credits outside of these 2 movies, because he pops up in the 2018 one as well, but he just also passed away recently. But I thought all that stuff was really strong. And again, prescient, right? Because like you watch it and you're like, your knee-jerk reaction is, oh, they're doing a thing, you know, they're doing a January 6th thing. But it's like, no, they'd written and shot all of that beforehand. So like, pretty interesting how they totally did translate. Like, you see that and you go like, yeah, I could definitely buy this shit would happen. Like, this doesn't feel elevated at all. This feels pretty grounded to me. I think though the execution parts that kind of that I think are noble but just not quite as tight are, for one, I feel like you definitely didn't need to see that guy's splattered body all over the pavement. I thought that, like,
yeah,
there was a disconnect there for me, where it was like, okay, we had this really strong moment, but let's undercut it with like super graphic violence. So it's like still kind of like exploitative of that character, to see like his bones and his brains and everything. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to like connect that to the Michael violence, right? Like, okay, not only did let's show you how horrific this actually was, very blatantly, in the way we show Michael's kills, to like underline what these people did through their own foolishness and ignorance. Maybe that was the idea. I don't know. It really made me go like, ugh, when I saw it. Like, that was the violence that made me kind of cringe up. And then as far as like intention goes, it's weird that they have that really strong moment, right? Where like Tommy has a moment where he goes, fuck, like that wasn't the right guy. Maybe we have the wrong idea about this. You know, Charles Cyphers is like, we're the monsters now, which I was really bummed out with. That was the character I cared about. Oh, like million-year-old Sheriff Brackett. When he died, I was like, fuck, this guy made it so far to get killed by Michael Myers at the end. They have that moment, and then like, what do they do in the next scene? Tommy's like, well, all right, everybody get in your truck. We're still hunting Michael Myers. He's just like, oh, well, we're going to find him still and kill him. Like, it definitely doesn't feel like that character learns anything, even though he goes, well, that was really bad what we did. But anyway, evil's going to die tonight. Am I right, guys?
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
It's like I know that was really messed up, but anyway, Michael Myers is still out there, so like we'll deal with the consequences of that tomorrow after we kill him. We kill the innocent man
Yeah,
too.
what is the next morning like? Like you wake up and you're like, oh, we killed an innocent person.
Yeah, right. Now,
Yeah,
I'm curious. What did I'm looking this up right now while we're talking, but Halloween Kills, what did it get for like Rotten Tomatoes? Like I'm looking it up.
It's got like a 48%, I think.
yeah, it's
39% critic, 68% audience, which is interesting. You know, generally the horror audience is a lot easier to satisfy. So,
yeah,
you know, a 40 plus rating from critics is adequate enough to make any horror person still see that movie. But it's actually pretty high for the audience. So there's I mean, I could be in the minority here in comparison to you two as far as
I think it's
more people enjoying the
split
film.
pretty down the middle in terms of like it or hate it. I don't think there's a middle. It doesn't seem like there's
Well, a lot of the
middle. It
people
seems
for the
like-
critics have been getting on. I don't know who, if it was the guy from Variety or something. He wrote something really shitty about the movie, and all these people, all these horror people, came after him, were piling on him. Like,
Oh yeah, because he was like, I don't watch horror movies, but this is awful or something like that. Yeah, I remember.
Didn't he
that
say it was like he was like, by the way, guys, wake up. This is a Texas Chainsaw ripoff. It's like, come on, man. This movie came out for fucking 40 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
This is like same tired old takes that get written forever and ever and ever.
I think he had some sort of take as well. My other friend put something up the guy did, and he was like, John Carpenter's thing. I think it's a piece of shit now. Like, I was like, what? The effects all look fake. The effects actually still look great even now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of practical stuff, and you know, whatever. It looks great still. That the 80s were like a heyday of like amazing like practical effects people. Like, you need to do this. Let's see if we can do it. You know, and they did. They would
Yeah.
pull it off a lot of times. You know, nowadays you
Yeah.
never get that chance. Like, it's all CG all the time. You know.
Right. Which is you could see as far as when they did the sort of prequel thing to it, where they dressed it all up in CG. Like they literally did not let them do practical effects for it because they thought people wouldn't like it. So it's 100% right.
Yep. But the other, I mean, I don't know. I think it looks like by and large a lot of the audience enjoyed it and stuff. So maybe, like I said, I may be in the minority here to some extent. I don't know. I ran into another one of my friends who really had a horrible disdain for it as well. And usually this guy hates everything, so I don't listen to anything he says. But I was like, I agree with you for once.
Yeah.
This guy hates Black Panther. This guy hates Black Panther. Let me just say that. Like, that's the kind of guy that I'm talking about. Like, you know, he's also black, by the way. But it's, you know, anyway.
I think a lot of the audience disdain comes from most of the people I know that hated the movie watched it at home, and I can only think like they were probably on their phones the whole time.
Could be.
And like if you're not watching the whole movie and you're only looking up every 10 minutes, you're not getting the whole movie, and so you have like a third of a movie, and of course nobody's gonna like a third of a movie.
Well, I tell you the truth. If I ever, I have like an AMC movie pass, right? And it's like, they're not paying me anything, but $23 a month. I can see 3 movies a week. I get like all these nice popcorn discounts. I mean, there's not 3 movies in a week I'd ever fucking watch because they're mostly shitty. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, like they just are. But like, there are rare times where there's a Dune and a Halloween and whatever, and I could take my kid to go see some shit. I don't know, Adam's Family too. And like, I'll use like all 3 movies up, right? And I feel like this is the best pass in the world. This is so worth my money.
Right.
But if I ever do have to buy a movie at home, I literally my TV is right here, right? And like I'll sit here on the computer as I am now. If I don't respect the movie, I sit here on my computer, I watch it over there, but I'm also here, right? Like in the computer. And that is something I just don't respect. I don't respect the movie. I don't care enough about it. But if I pay fucking $21 or $20 for a goddamn movie, you can bet this thing is it's closed. Like, I am watching this goddamn movie, and my phone may be there, but I turn it over, and only if it's something really like, oh, my wife's calling her, I gotta pause it real quick and I talk. I watch the movie, total attention to it, right? And that's the greatest thing about going to the movies. If you respect people around you, you don't look at your phone. You keep it in your pocket. You just sit there, eat your popcorn, shut the fuck up, watch the movie, clap when you're supposed to clap, cheer, laugh, whatever. You're fully engaged. So, like, it's tough, as you say. Even like Netflix movies. Like, what's getting my full attention right now? Fucking Midnight Mass. I've been savoring that thing. I've been watching like one episode a night. My wife and I look so forward to it. We're like, I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm thinking about it during the day.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that has my full attention.
Mhm.
Squid Game, not so much. But let's face it, Squid Game was just a ripoff of like
Battle Royale.
Yeah. They did that 30 years ago, whatever the fuck. But like, they made like 3 of those movies, I want to say, or maybe even 4. But like, it's just a kind of rehash of that. Like, they're so excited because none of them ever saw Battle Royale. That's the main thing of it.
Sure.
Like, the normal population never saw it. So
No.
it was just okay. And I gotta be honest, that ending, that was real stretched out. Like, you wouldn't just start spending the money right then and there and giving the money to the fucking people who you fucking get killed for it or whatever it was, all your friends. You don't let that fucking kid sit there in the orphanage for a fucking year. That poor fucking kid. Like, give me a fucking break. And then you give me a fancy red haircut at the end. I don't know what that was, but like, anyway. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a virgin to other things.
I don't know. I still don't know shit about the Squid Game. So,
I like Squid Game.
It's entertaining. I mean, you'll like it. I mean, it's.
I'm sure I would.
I mean, sorry I spoiled the end for you, but I think you knew where it was going to go anyways, frankly.
But yeah, it's weird because I watched this at home, but I was fully engaged with it. And most of the time, if there's a new movie I haven't seen and I'm watching it at home, I'm like paying full attention to it. But a lot of people are like, it's I got a free pass to Peacock, so I'm just gonna throw it on and I'm gonna be on my phone. I know, like most of the people I know, like aren't watching movies.
Wait,
like,
you could watch Halloween on Peacock if you just have a Peacock subscription?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I had to get a fucking Peacock subscription for my friend came over and he wanted to watch the goddamn Patriots or some shit. So I had to pay $5. He gave me $5 cash, to be honest. But I paid for a subscription, I guess $5, and I didn't know you could watch it. I thought you had to I thought it was like $20 on Peacock or something.
No. If you got the Peacock, man, you can just boot this thing up. You can watch it right now if you wanted to. You probably don't want to, but you can watch it right now. If you
I'm gonna make my wife watch it. I think just because I want to get my $5 worth.
A lot of people are just like throwing it on and then texting.
I didn't even realize. I thought it was like, okay, you can get it through Peacock, but it's $20 or something.
Yeah, no, they're not doing the whole Disney Plus model.
Man, this is a commercial for Peacock now too. Man, my God,
you can watch the movie.
Yeah, they put the big old Peacock on the table. They called their shot, but it's interesting because I mean they knew they could pull it off, right? Because it's like everybody went and saw fucking Halloween in October. Like that's always the license to print money. Even like at the lowest depths of this series, it's like these cost $15 million to make or whatever. Put it out in October. It's called Halloween. Everybody's gonna go see that fucking movie.
No, both of them. I think both of them cost like one of them cost 20 or 30, and this one cost like 10 million more. I want to say. I think it was 20 and then 30.
Yeah,
dude, it made like 50 million in an opening weekend. I mean, whatever. They made their money like a hand over fist already and stuff. And if they can get like a bunch of people to get Peacock and then forget they have Peacock, which will probably happen to me, and then I'll get charged $5 every fucking month, and they've they're great. But that's interesting. You can pay $5. If you go watch a movie in an AMC theater here in Los Angeles, it'll cost you $19 to go see a movie. At nighttime, like that's not matinee hours, costs you $19 to go see it, or you can pay $5 on Peacock, or you can pay $23 and see 12 movies for AMC Plus.
Right.
That's so interesting. I didn't even know that. I learned something tonight.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good deal.
What other big movies do they have on Peacock? Now that we're at it,
Crank 2.
Come on, man.
They got some like
that's a Lionsgate movie, anyways. But yeah, okay. Right.
They got like a Snoop Dogg, Martha Stewart Halloween special I saw on there the other day.
Oh
shit!
Yeah, I was. I
They
noticed
have
that. On the
AP
homepage.
Bio, which is really funny.
I started watching it. I liked it actually.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I watched the first season. It was good.
Yeah, it's good.
We'll see.
It's
Sorry,
good.
Halloween. Back to Halloween.
Halloween kills. Halloween kills. Well, it feels like a good opportunity to maybe kind of pivot to something else we had thought about doing, which, you know, this month, it seems like because of the new Halloween coming out, the big thing has been everybody is posting their like letterboxd rankings of the Halloween series. So I thought it could be fun to do like some sort of real-time belligerent version of that. We don't have to numerically rank them all because as Connor knows, I'm really,
oh my god, that was a fucking nightmare doing the whole MCU.
Yeah, Connor numerically ranked the entire Marvel universe, and I think it took you like 2.5 hours to get through the whole thing.
I was ready to put my head through a brick wall.
I've had this funny thing with my daughter. I think I've kind of ruined it for her in a certain sense. I tried to introduce her. She's like 3 years old, so what does she know? But I tried to introduce her to real life superheroes. We're calling them, right? And what I do is I just show her the finale of Endgame, right? And it's like the best part of the whole series, right? Of any of the Marvel Universe things, right? So I show her this thing, and I point to her each of the superheroes. Oh, that's Spider-Man, that's Thor, that's Captain America, da 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 da. And she's getting it now. So like whenever we watch it like 5 times or whatever. So watch it again. Oh, Thor. Oh, Captain America. And what I can't wait is to start showing her the movies, like the individual movies to build it up and this and that. But I feel she's gonna be horribly let down because nothing is ever gonna be as good as that fucking last 30 minutes of like whatever else. And we also watched like the death scene for Iron Man, and I'm always like, so, anyway, it's funny.
Can I share?
Let's rank this shit.
Let's rank it, and let me also quickly share an anecdote of how cool Luke's daughter is. Is when I visited, we had what was on the TV because you had left to go get something. Creep Show, the Shudder Creep Show was on TV, and there was like some big episode with like a bunch of crazy monsters and like some kid like killing his family with them or something. And your daughter walks in, and like Jess and I are there, and we go like, oh, like we kind of scramble like to get the remote because like a giant monster comes up. This looks so real and scary, and we like try to pause it, and then like she like points at the screen and just starts laughing like it's the funniest thing she's ever seen. And I pause it, and she goes, no, I'm brave, play it. And she hits play, and there's like it's like blood coming out of its mouth. She's like, ah ha ha ha, that's so funny. I just thought that was amazing.
Well, we try to teach her to laugh at the like she's like skeleton, ha 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 ha, or whatever it is. Like she laughs at it, so she doesn't find it scary. And we also try to tell her it's not real. It's obviously not real. Like I showed her Jurassic Park, and my wife thought it was like far too young a movie to show a child. But what I do is I have to show her the making of, so she can see that like, all right, this is like fake dinosaurs, da da da, and everything else. And so we'll see. She's already ready to go to Jurassic Park. I mean, she wants to go to the ones in Orlando or whatever. But I just found out she's too short still. So I go. So I'm like, I have to wait,
That's better than what my grandpa did with, horror movies. He would play me all of them. And then like the Friday the 13th, he showed me all of them. And then he'd be like, okay, time to go to bed. And then it'd be completely pitch black, and I'm just laying in bed. And then he's like, down the hallway. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be murdered by Jason.
Yeah.
And he would do that all the time. Like he would do different things. Like
I wish he had burst into the room with a hockey mask on, and then
he did that with Scream, which ironically became one of my favorite like horror franchises. He had like a real like surprisingly authentic like Ghostface costume, and he would just randomly like bust into rooms that I was in and just like try to scare me.
That's really funny, but also something you might have to talk to your therapist about.
Nightmare on Elm Street, he would take knives and like scrape it on like a metal pan.
Wow, he's really committed.
After he showed me
he is really committed.
He terrorized me. My grandpa terrorized me, but he got me into horror. But he terrorized me.
That's really funny, actually. I mean, I don't know. My wife will only let me get away with so much, frankly. Like she doesn't, she's gonna turn into some sort of goth chick and da da da. And I'm like. And you think it's funny because it's like fun to date goth chicks, and I'm like, yeah, but maybe not. Like she's gonna hate you. By the way,
yeah, that should go the opposite. she'll go the opposite way, right? Or she'll think like horror movies are corny or like super uncool, like, oh, that's dad shit, right? Like, could go that way too.
I think so, but it's funny. Like she likes Nightmare Before Christmas. She fucking loves it. Like it's crazy because it's not just a Halloween movie, but it's a Christmas movie sort of too, right? It's more of someone would argue it's a bit more of a Christmas movie to some extent, but like she can't get enough. Like and frankly, I'm worried to some extent that I start getting sick of the songs because like she likes to listen to it too much. I'm like, I don't want to hate Nightmare Before Christmas, like So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, enough about her. Let's talk about some serious shit. Let's talk about these rankings over here. All right.
Should we rank these silly mask movies?
Let's do it.
Well, I mean, the first one
is S tier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's gotta be.
It's like we really don't even say too much about it. Like if there's ever going to be a movie in this list that's going to be in the S tier, it's got to be the original, the one that started it all.
Yeah.
You got to put 1978 up here in the S tier. I don't even know if I will put anything else in the. I think a good rule would be we have to like reach a consensus together on where the movie goes.
Absolutely.
So we can invite further discourse into the process. But so I think we all concur Halloween is in the S tier. I don't know if anything else would go there. Halloween, where is it? Well, I'll just go in sequential order. Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2.
I gotta go B for me.
Yeah, it's B for me.
Yeah, I do like this movie. I mean, in the pantheon of like original original run of sequels.
Oh yeah,
probably the best one. Got some great kills. I would say it's it's just kind of more of Halloween, but not as good. But and for what it's worth, it introduces the sister thing, which is like what we think of Halloween as up until recently. That's like the thing is Laurie and Michael, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say B tier is pretty fair. Now here's what I have decided.
Here's where it's going to get decisive.
What do we think about Halloween 3?
I'm gonna say A.
You can go A.
Really?
I'm gonna go with A. As bonkers and fucking like weird it is, it's a lot of fun. It's probably the most fun I've had out of the franchise.
I think it's so interesting in retrospect. Like, I think it's like at the time when I watched it, I was like, what am I watching? This is not what I signed on for. But when you look at sort of how they just went out, then they just committed to going out to left field and they, did it. I would still go B with it. I think A is a little too, I mean, I can see the genius, but it was before its time and it was just mediocre, to be honest, at the end of the day. I'd go B.
I agree. 3 is an interesting one because it's like it's developed its own fan base over the years, especially in recent years. It's like there's totally a following for that one now, and I would say I'm on board with it. Like it is a blast. But having done an episode,
Michael, so I would go with B. I would go with B. Having
done the episode where we all said we liked it and then proceeded to be like, what the fuck's going on with this movie?
You're right, B. I'll be the first to admit I was overzealous. I will go B.
Very fun, but very messy. I know, like very
a lot of boob sucking in it,
and a lot of gotta be said of all these movies. This one does have the most boob sucking in it, so that's a great point. Which puts it in B. I would say B for boob.
Yeah, sucking. B for boob sucking
makes a lot of sense. And then we get into this where shit gets a little weird. Now, Halloween 4, I don't dislike Halloween 4. Now but the big thing is this where the masks start looking really stupid.
Yeah.
So just if I refresh my memory with it, like this is the one that has the Daniela, like she's a little kid in it, right?
Yes.
This is the one in like the orphan home, right?
So so that one is 5. This one 4, it's Jamie Lloyd, who is Laurie Strode's daughter. They killed Laurie Strode off screen in a car accident before the movie starts. And it's about her orphan daughter who Michael's coming after. And she's in a foster family. She's a clown for Halloween. Has a really good ending.
Does she become the killer at the end, sort of?
That's what the ending sets up. And then when we rank 5, 5 completely invalidates all of it. But it has like a really great ending.
I'll go C, I guess.
I would say at least C. Like I definitely don't dislike.
I don't think it's a D or F. I'm trying to remember it, frankly. But
yeah, I would go.
I think it could be. I think it could be between a B and a C, just based off that ending as I recall it. Like it just like didn't she
Yeah,
have
the
like a
ending
pair,
was very
did she have a pair of
interesting.
scissors at the end or something? And they start playing the
Yeah.
music and
She
like
stabs after they beat Michael. She's dressed up like a clown, so she's like the same thing Michael was for Halloween
Yeah.
as a kid. And she stabs her stepmother, I believe it is. And then Loomis freaks out. Like it ends with him just going, no, no. And that's the other thing. It's like you get these movies. What I love about 4 and 5 is like you get Loomis at his craziest. 5, he is just he's borderline the villain in 5. But getting Donald Pleasance, that's like the only regret I have for these episodes we've done this month is like not enough talk about Donald Pleasance because we kind of skipped them all. But yeah, I like 4 just fine. And there's something effective about seeing Michael chase a little kid. Like that is pretty inherently disturbing and scary. Seeing a little kid screaming while this giant man in a mask chases her and like kills her whole family. So I'd say C's pretty fair. You could probably talk me up to a B on a good day, but I would say C's pretty fair.
All right.
Now 5 inherently I'm going D.
Now 5, yeah, this movie has a lot of problems. Now it's inherently nostalgic to me because I'm pretty sure it's the first Halloween movie I ever saw. So like that childhood wonderment as you see a Halloween movie for the first time and you go, oh, this is like the scariest thing I've ever seen. You know, even though this is one of the silliest ones of them all. Loomis is this is the one where Jamie loses her voice and Loomis keeps like bursting in the room going like, I know you know where he is. Why won't you help me? Like he's just like assaulting a little girl, like why? Like shaking her around all the time. Very, very silly. Also has Michael getting a lot of Michael driving though.
Yeah.
There's like a whole scene where he chases people around in a car. It's pretty good. And oh no, I was gonna say he gets shot down a mine shaft. No, he gets shot down a mine shaft at the end of 4. At the end of this one, how does he die in this one? What is he? Because this is the one where he like wakes up in the mine shaft and some weirdo is taking care of him for like.
I think that kind of the fact that you don't remember how it ends, I feel like kind of speaks to where it should be placed.
We're saying D.
We're saying D.
For 5, yeah. I mean, I don't remember it frankly. Like I just, so you guys decide on that one.
It's like it's 4 but worse. It does have the like mob vigilante thing going on in it that Kills does, where a bunch of like rednecks are driving trucks around trying to kill Michael, and then they all get killed by Michael. Now speaking of ones I don't remember much about.
I remember this one vividly because Paul Rudd's in it.
Introducing Paul Rudd in part 6.
And inherently, I would put this B.
You would go D?
No, B.
B?
Yeah, I like this one. I really like this one.
You're out of your gourd. This is the one with all the thorn culture.
The thorn, yeah, I like this one a lot.
So no, I don't remember this at all. Please explain this to me. Like I'm trying to understand like what this was.
So Michael Myers is like basically possessed by a cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember how 5 ends. It's because the mysterious man breaks him out of prison at the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Paul Rudd plays Michael
Tommy.
Anthony. Yeah, Tommy.
And that's
Paul Rudd.
I mean, that's all you can really say for this, right? Is Paul Rudd?
I would go C. I would go C.
C?
I like this one.
Wow.
Listen, I think his passion speaks volumes. I think we got to go C.
I think it's interesting. Paul Rudd's in it, and he's always enjoyable. So he kind of carries the movie, even being like his first like breakout role. I like it.
All right, you've made your case. I should have made a stronger case for 5 since it has a soft spot in my heart, but it's too late. It's in the D tier, and we put this. I feel like this will be the most controversial movie we can make is Halloween 6 in the C tier. It does have Paul Rudd, which is more than most movies in history can say.
I've met Paul Rudd twice in my life. I met him circa 1999.
Oh wow!
And then I met him 2008, and he looks the same. He's like a fucking vampire. And you couldn't meet a nicer guy. I mean, I think he's still married to the same lady and stuff. Like he's just sort of like, I mean, who knows? Whoever cheats on everybody, but The point though is that him and his wife were so cute together, and she was gorgeous, like this blonde, very bubbly, and just as kind of funny as he was. And he was not famous at all in 1999. I can tell you that. Like, he was in a movie with we were in Sundance, and we were in this small little bar, and he was in a movie with David Cross and the Mr. Show guys.
Yeah.
It's not Ron Runny Ron either. It's just some really small piece of shit that they like shot with their friends, and like it got into Sundance. No, you know what? It didn't even get into Sundance. It was like No Dance. It was like one of the other festivals that's there that's not even Sundance, right? And we went there, and we went to a party afterwards. And so all these guys from Mr. Show were there, and like all these sort of like low level people, Michael Penn, you know, the singer. He sings like What If I Was Romeo in Black Jeans, and he also did like all the music for Paul Thomas Anderson movies and all this kind of stuff. And then Paul Rudd and his wife are all just hanging out and talking about the movie and whatever. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy. And then years later, I see him at some Universal thing. I think we're doing the movie with him and Sean William Scott, where they're like assholes, and then they have to take care of
role models.
Yeah. And I was like, I saw you all these years ago, and he's like, and he named the movie. Like he was like, oh yeah, that was a fucking great movie. And I'm like, it wasn't, but like he thought it was. So I don't know, he was just a nicer guy then. Like he was the same guy, even though he's a huge superstar then, you know. So any which way, nothing. But I'm all for Paul Rudd getting that thing to the level C, if that helps you. Like without my opinion being.
You put Paul Rudd at C tier. By the way, not to backtrack too much, but you mentioned Mr. Show. Is everyone aware of Bob Odenkirk's appearance in Halloween Kills? Is anybody else aware of this?
Yeah, he was on the TV screen. He played
so
Bob.
And he's credited as Bob. So like in the bar, when they're doing like the recap and they're like inmates escaped and it's the 40th anniversary of this terrible thing that happened 40 years ago, and they're like cutting back to like I think they use an actual picture of like PJ Souls, her character, and then when they want to cut to Bob, who's like the famous kill, you know, that gets speared to the wall with a knife, and he dresses up like the ghost and everything from the first movie. Instead of using a picture of the actual guy who played Bob, they used a teenage photo of Bob Odenkirk instead, like as a joke. And so he is officially credited. He's the very last credit at the end of the cast in the credits. It's Bob Odenkirk as Bob.
I didn't even realize that. Well, listen, I'm glad I brought it up. Paul Rudd, Bob Odenkirk, Halloween Kills.
Yeah, both exist in the Halloween verse.
Nice.
Both canon. What's next? After 6. Okay, so now we get back to an interesting point in the series because it's H2O time. Like big
same guy that wrote Scream, right?
Kevin Williams, right?
Kevin Williams trying to put his magical fingers, his spin on to make it the new hotness again, right?
Yeah,
that's essentially what was going on.
I'm teetering between B and C.
B and C. I like H2O, especially considering
I like H2O quite a bit.
I'm solidly B, if not maybe a little higher. Not A, but I'll go in the middle.
B feels good because, like, especially when you consider what came before this and what comes after this, it's like H2O. Yeah. H2O does. I mean, it was cool that Laurie came back. Like, different spin than the 2018 one. Like, Laurie's not quite as she's definitely still traumatized, right? But like, it's not defined her life. Like, she has a son. Introducing Josh Hartnett. These movies love introducing people.
LL Cool J. What? Cool J. Like, I mean. If I'm remembering it right, she takes a shovel and she fucking knocks his fucking head off. That's how she kills him, right? Yeah. But doesn't she dies too in that one too? Doesn't she?
She dies in the next one, right?
So that's coming up next. So I agree. I think B's a good place for this to exist. Like,
Resurrection, I think we can all agree is F.
Oh, okay. You actually do agree that it's F because you've been advocating for this. This is bar none. By the biggest margin, this is my least favorite Halloween movie.
No, when I advocate for Resurrection, I'm completely ironic. It's an F. It is dog shit.
So she died. Sorry, refresh my memory. What happens in F? Because I don't remember it very
the guy she kills is like a security guard dressed up as Michael.
Yeah, Michael
dresses him up as him.
It's a switcheroo.
And then she dies 20 minutes into the movie or something?
Yeah, they invalidate the great ending of H2O in the silliest way, that Michael had put his mask on like an EMT or something, and that like the EMT was trying to tell Lori like, "Don't kill me," and she lopped his fucking head off. And then the revelation of that she had killed an innocent man, she gets locked up in like a penitentiary. And then Michael, who was not killed, hunts her down and kills her at the end of the first act of the movie.
Mm.
And then you have to hang out with a bunch of unlikable bozos the rest of the movie. It's like,
yeah, shooting a reality TV series like haunted house thing. It's pretty dog shit.
All right, F. I agree. Let's do it.
There's not many movies I label as dog shit, but this movie's dog shit.
off, like just irredeemably awful. And if you don't like Michael Myers doing kung fu, Busta Rhymes does kung fu on him in that movie. And I think he says like "trick or treat, motherfucker," and like roundhouse kicks him. And I think he survives too, Busta Rhymes. I think he lives through that movie. Like that's your new Laurie Strode. They're like, this is the guy you're gonna rally behind. Busta Rhymes is the new hero of this franchise. Yeah, this.
That's what's going to happen the next movie is that Busta Rhymes going to be sitting at the bar, but it's going to be in like Brooklyn and be like, "I'd like to give a big up to all of the Fushnikins and also everyone who survived Halloween H2O resurrection," and like never forget, never forget, never forget, never forgive. That's the slogan for the next movie. Never forget, never forgive. And evil never dies. Evil dies tonight. Never forget, never forgive. Sorry.
I think my ranking website has crashed. Oh wait, did it come back? I don't know. Oh, what's that?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Halloween Resurrection was so shit that it destroyed the whole ranking.
It was like, yeah, we're done.
It killed it.
It's like,
it killed
go
it.
to hell.
It killed it. Well, I'll try to get it back, but in the meantime, I mean, I guess we could just
we only had 4 more we can talk about. I mean,
we could just talk this out if we need to, unless it's coming back right now.
Rob Zombie's first Halloween, I would put A tier. I think it was interesting enough.
For me, it's an A or B, but I'd be okay with A.
I think it's
great.
I think that's probably a hot take for a lot of people because I feel like anytime I see anybody ranking this stuff, like the Rob Zombie movies,
I would put at A tier. I think the second one is very interesting with how different it is and how it's clearly Rob Zombie's movie and it didn't rely on anything before what came before. He did his own thing with it, which I respect, and I think it has a lot of interesting moments. And I've said it before on previous episodes, I think with the second one, he was doing A24 horror before A24 was the thing. It's very psychological, and so I would put his Halloween and his H2 movie on A tier.
Well, I would tell you, I thought that the first Rob Zombie movie actually finally gave him a career. I mean, okay, listen, he'd been trying to do shit, and it was by and large not great, frankly. Like, it was all sort of like, I'm gonna learn how to edit on the fly, and I'm doing House of 1,000 Corpses, and it's just like the most horrible. It's tedious to watch that film. Like, it's not good. And everyone's he's a cult hero. No, he's a terrible director at the time. But at Halloween, he finally hits his stride. Actually makes a good movie, And so just for that, and him trying, I'd give him an A and give that. And actually, it was a good movie, so I give it an A.
Yes.
Second movie, to me, nowhere near as good as the first one, sadly. Interesting, but not great. I'd put it to B, frankly. But the first one I give an A, second one a B.
I'll settle B for 2.
That's fair. Yeah, we talked about a little bit where we kind of actually liked the second one even more just because of how weird and experimental it was for like a Halloween movie. Whereas the first one's still kind of traditional, but I can't argue with that too much. Yeah, and I think probably more generous rankings than a lot of other people have been giving for
absolutely
Mr. Zombie this month. He's usually like slumming it up in the F tier or the D tier. So
I have a nightmare in my head for what that Monsters is going to be.
That's going to be no matter what happens, it's going to be fascinating.
I'll still watch it. Don't get me wrong. I will still pay to see that in the theater, but I don't know what he's going to do with it because his sensibilities are so all over the place. But for that's sort of a weird thing to kind of put him into like
Well,
like,
I mean,
it's like making the
that's
Brady.
been his
It's like he's making the
passion
Brady Bunch.
project.
Sorry, what?
That's been his passion project. Has been the monsters. Like, I mean, he's made music about the monsters, so
No, for sure. But I
he
mean, like, look,
he owns like a bunch of original like monsters memorabilia. So I feel like he could do a good job with it because it's his passion.
the problem is this: just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you're qualified to direct that thing, right? Like, if you look at his track record, he's never done anything that's really funny, right? And there is a sense of humor. Like, it's almost like you're trusting Rob Zombie to direct the dark version of the Brady Bunch movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, who was the woman that did that? The two Brady Bunch movies were directed by this woman. She's in the fucking Hill Street Blues. It's gonna come to me in a second. But they had a real sense of balance to the humor and sort of nostalgia for it, right? And they were actually pretty good. And then it kind of it needs that exact same sort of balance, I feel, because there is some humor to it. It's like, I mean, the first two Addams Family movies were pretty good for what they were, the live action ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know if he has that balance, if you will. I mean, he may love the show and he may be a cool director for horror, but I don't know. I'm interested to see what he does.
Yeah.
So
we got two more.
2018. Yeah. I will say right off the bat, I don't think I can put
A tier for me.
A tier. I think this is as good as it gets after the original. I would not even hesitate to put that up in the A, which sounds like no arguments across the board. So we've solved that one pretty easily.
We concur.
But now here's maybe the most difficult one. Halloween Kills. Where's that going?
See, I would put it B.
I'm right there with you. I think our friend may have a different grade to put on the paper.
For me, it's like a B minus C plus, and I said that from the beginning, right? So I'm not totally. So I mean, if we could put it B minus, I would. But if we want to put it B to be with the group, then that's okay. I just think lower of it. I mean, I don't think it's like a solid C or like even a D or I don't think it's in there at all. I just think that
it's teetering.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I did not like it as much as you guys for the reasons I stated earlier.
Yeah.
But I will agree to put it in the B. To go along with the group. But there's no way we can put it B minus anyways. You can't put it on the cusp or anything anyways. So it has to be.
Put an asterisk next to it. Low B.
Yeah, low B.
You passed, but you could have applied effort in different places to get a better grade.
Look, it made a lot of money happily, right? And that helps horror, right? Like, I'm just curious actually how much money it actually did make.
I think it made like about 50 mil opening weekend.
It's probably made a bit more at this point. Like it's been 2 weekends. Let's see here. Okay, it's done very well actually. It's made 75 domestic and 92 worldwide. So that's a terrific return. It says a $20 million budget. So that's probably about what the first one cost. I thought it cost like 10 million more, but they probably put in another 15 million, like with the prints, with the marketing prints and ads. Let's call it maybe 20. So even if it was 40, it's made its money back in spades. Everyone's very happy. It's multiple will go on.
And people are talking about it, so people are checking it out.
Yeah, and it probably. I mean, look, it hasn't opened all over the world yet. Like it's not a day and date, so they've opened it slowly, and so it'll probably make, my guess, about 140 million theatrical. And then, well, you know what's weird though? It's $5 on goddamn Peacock. So who knows how much it actually
making over there? Yeah.
Then that's going to be multiples for how many people forget to not turn off their subscription. So that's a gift that keeps on giving to NBC Universal. So I mean, I think you can count on another 30 million from that at least.
Yeah, the next one's called Halloween Ends, but as long as they do that, it never fucking will. They'll be making these movies for the rest of our lives. Clearly,
it's hard to kill a good horror movie, is what I've heard.
Yeah, it's also really hard to kill a good horror movie podcast.
Wow.
By the way, I like your new logo. Speaking of which,
Oh, thank you.
I hadn't seen that logo. That's a great logo, by the way.
We got a big facelift over here across the channel from our boy Astro. So he did us well. Yeah, he did us well over here. Yeah, and I think we've solved the Halloween franchise. I think we figured it out top to bottom. We've sorted it, and it's good to go.
Nice.
It's been a great month for talking about it. I've had a lot of fun revisiting this franchise in general. I think everybody's got their favorite slasher franchise, and recency bias aside, I think this is mine. Like, I think this is the one I've enjoyed the most frequently throughout life. So it's been cool to really talk about Michael Myers more than I ever have the rest of my life combined.
Well, you're inspired. Well, here's the good news. If anything, you're inspiring me to go back and watch these ones I don't totally remember. Like, basically, and I know they're not the good ones, but like 4 through 6, I feel like I got it. And then Halloween Resurrection, which I kind of vaguely remember. Like, I remember Busta Rhymes for some reason, but yeah,
That's
we'll see.
That's the only one I've not rewatched this month. Like, there's some, I don't know, there's something to appreciate in all of them, and not necessarily the whole movie, but there's something to appreciate in all of them. At the end of the day, they're Michael Myers movies, and I'm clearly going to show up to that party every time you invite me. So, no, it's been cool to talk about these movies, and it's been cool to just have you back on, Alok. It's always a pleasure and a treat.
Hey, I love you guys. You're my favorites. Like, I'll come on and do anything with you. We goddamn have that, that lost episode for Cats that we can never air because.
Hey, by the way, they just put it back on HBO Max, which I felt like they were specifically looking at us to do it again.
I don't know that I can do that again. That was a bad look for all of us. Poor Matt. Where's Matt tonight? I'm sure he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't come in, pop his head in here. But long and short, I don't think we should. I think those cats are better left to lay dead wherever they are.
No, they should.
But I mean, listen. I've always enjoyed my time with you guys, whether it be a Twilight marathon or whatever it was. These are all been entertaining. Drunken fun times and stuff like that. And it was finally good to see you, Taylor, in person. And Connor, you got to come out here sometime.
I plan on it very soon.
It won't be in this, Anyway, we'll talk more about it offline. But anyway, what a pleasure! What a pleasure hanging out with you, gentlemen, once again. And happy Halloween to everyone out there as well.
Happy Halloween. Anywhere, I mean, anybody who's listening to this show, I think, knows damn well where to find Alok Mishra, but just in case they don't, where can people find you online? Where should they look for you, my man?
Go see our movie 1BR. It's not on streaming right now, but it's on everything VOD. See us over there, 1BR_films or Twitter, and if you go there, you'll somehow be able to reach us there. And what are the kids doing? Clubhouse and shit. We're on there too, and I don't think anyone's doing Clubhouse anymore, frankly. But hot for a minute. Like, no. I'm very easily reachable through our social media. Like I said, 1BR_film. You can reach us there. But go see our film if you can, and we may be appearing in different places sooner than you think. And hopefully, we'll be making a movie very soon. We're out to some interesting people who I obviously usually can't talk about and stuff like that for the next movie. But we had somebody really super interesting that I'd be so over the moon. Like, there's icons like a Christopher Walken, for example. That's not the guy, but like if you could work with Christopher Walken, you just be like, kill me now. I'm good. Like, I can just die now because that is the fucking man in my book, right?
Right.
But like, if we get this other guy, I'm like, kill me now, because I'm just like, holy shit. If we get this one guy to do the movie, everyone else is gonna want to do the movie because this guy is such actor. We call it actor crack. They call it actor bait, but I call it actor crack. Because if you can get them to do this, they'll be like, oh my God, I want to do crack with this. I want to do crack with this guy. I want to be with him. I want to be with him, son. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But fingers crossed, everybody. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Offers going out in this next week, end of the week.
I look forward to unpacking that with you.
Yes,
on the show once you land it, because you'll
after we shoot the thing, I will come on the next day and be like, all right, I can't tell you anything about it. Well, we got this guy.
Well, we'll come on and we'll smoke some actor crack. Before we wrap it up, we are done with the month of October naturally, so that means it's time to announce what we got going on in November as we return back to our guest-centric format. We got 4 guests, 4 movies. Let's see what we got in November if we're really scared. November 4th we're going to welcome back on JTE to talk about. He's been so excited to talk about this movie. I can't even wait to just find out why he wanted to talk about Deep Rising, a 90s sea monster movie. I'd never seen Deep Rising, but this man he's been asking me for weeks to talk about Deep Rising, so I can't wait to have him back on for that. Adam Collins wants to talk about Nosferatu the Vampire, the Werner Herzog movie, not even the original Nosferatu, but the Herzog. I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of different Nosferatus throughout the evening, but Nosferatu the Vampire with our guy Adam Collins. My man Slick Nick Harley coming on and talk about Prometheus. We've never talked about any alien movie on this show before.
I love Prometheus.
Yeah, I guess we'll very proper start at the very beginning with Ridley Scott's Prometheus. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then finally, we'll be having on not one, but two guests. My brethren in the Finstock Exchange, the Barbarian and King Khan, coming on to talk about Ready or Not, one of the great new horror films. Had a lot of fun with that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a new classic for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a lot of great movies to discuss next month. A lot of great guests. Going to be a lot of fun in November. And we can't wait to see you guys then. So thank you for joining. Happy Reeloween. Happy Halloween. Thanks for hanging out with us all month. We'll see you next week for some Deep Rising with JTE. Stay spooky, my friends.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.